Congrats.
Thank you.
Amazing film.
All right, we have a special guest, Jim. Hello. Jim. Yeah. Come on out. The star of the movie.
Thank you. Hi. Hi. Hello. Nice to see you.
Hey.
I was pushed onto the stage without my amplification device. I felt very vulnerable.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, what are we here for? What are you guys watching? Yeah? Oh, thanks.
Congrats on the film. You were fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Amazing film.
Well,
I think
he made the film.
Yeah.
And I supplied the content.
I think while we catch our breaths, I'll start by asking Chris a question, and we can all think of our own questions in the audience. So you mentioned in the intro that you were approached to do this. Could you walk us through what went through your mind and what your process was of getting this off the ground?
Yeah, so I got a call from Spike Jones and Danny Goodbye from Vice saying that Spike had been talking to Jim about this project, that Jim had this footage, that they were talking about it, going back and forth, and Jim shared some of the footage with Spike, and Spike immediately was like, there's a movie here, we've got to do something. So they talked about sort of the strategy, what they wanted to try to do, who might be right, and Spike suggested me, and Jim was all for it. And so they sent me the footage, and my editor and myself sort of went through that for a couple months, about 6 months. And then at that point, we did an interview with Jim. And just sort of, it was this wonderful thing that sort of evolved and grew into and went in different directions than I think any of us could have expected entirely, just because we didn't know. But
Like a virus, not unlike a virus.
Yeah. So, anyhow, it was a great sort of experience and time to spend immersed in the lives of Jim and Andy and sort of like see how that Do we have another special guest? Do you want to bring?
Oh yes, I would love to bring up another special guest. We have a gentleman here who was instrumental in the mischief of Andy Kaufman, and I'd like to introduce him now. He's Mr. Bob Zmuda. We're in a theater, Bob.
What?
We're in a theater with the people.
Hello?
Bob's been through a lot. Now, tell us about your exploits a little bit. Just one really cool story that people might not know about you and Andy.
We were lovers. Woo! No, not true. Not true. But, we fooled the American public for years that Andy was Tony Clifton, when in fact it was me at times. And went on David Letterman 4 times. I went on David Letterman 4 times as Mr. Clifton, and Letterman never knew. And the last time he turned to me during the commercial break and said, Andy, if I didn't know it was you, I swear it was somebody else. And Andy was at home, and he didn't know until you told David Letterman 20 years later.
Right. Yeah.
And he wasn't that happy about it at first. He was, no.
And this is the same thing that happened at the Playboy Mansion. When the Playboy Mansion called and said Jim Carrey's invited to the Midsummer Night Party of whatever, Decadence, he went and he got the colors on again, and
Jim
he went.
Yep.
And I was sitting there eating burgers and stuff at In-N-Out Burger.
What was the conversation of getting the tape back?
Oh, that was great.
Oh, the next day we had to go. Because they stole that. He was very unhappy.
Yeah, they took the tape out. I was hoping they wouldn't beat him in the bushes or something like this. They took him out the back way. I was like, oh, there goes Bob.
And Hefner was
That's
in my face.
That
Hefner was in my face. He said, I don't know who you are. He said, but if my guys, if these people weren't here, we'd break every bone in your body. Yeah, and I'm going, Jim says, oh, I don't know him.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be glad you told that story, wherever he is.
He's a vegetable now. He doesn't know.
No, he's a legume.
Jim, I would love to ask you a question. You're so reflexive in the film. How does it feel to watch yourself in a documentary versus a fiction scripted film?
Well, I'm not watching myself, so first of all, sorry. But it's all very detached at this point. There's a conversation going on. The conversation is really interesting, though, and once we got past the fact that I was playing Andy took over basically and started playing the characters again, and then at the end of it I felt like wow, it was like this kind of like overlook feeling that astronauts get when they go out into outer space, and you suddenly go like, well, if I'm so easily pushed aside, then who the hell am I in the first place? And that's kind of the experience I had trying to get back to myself. And then when I finally did get back to who Jim Carrey was, I was like, well, this is optional. And, I'm not really going to stick in here too long. I'm going to play with it. This is a great avatar. I enjoy it. Couldn't beat it, really. I've done pretty good, so I get to, I get all the best weapons and stuff. And no, I'm just enjoying the ride. And I don't know if that answered your question, but I'm making sound, and that's what these people came for.
Your mouth is moving. You're talking.
That's right.
Bob, I'd also love to ask you a similar question. You've done such an amazing job at keeping your friend's memory alive. How does it feel to reflect on it in this particular way?
Well, I was telling Christy that this is amazing because Andy, on his deathbed, he had said he wasn't afraid of dying at all. At all. He was in the TM. He had Lynn will tell you this, had no fear.
I think he can tell us himself. Andy Kaufman, ladies and gentlemen. Would that flip you out or what, man? How do you know? How do you know he's not here? I don't believe that blonde woman right there.
Looks
I'm not
like
buying that disguise, Andy.
But to answer the question, his big fear was that he wouldn't be remembered. And so this is why it's so great.
I just scratched my balls. Did you see that?
I
didn't even think about it. I just put my hand in there and went at it in front of people. That's not
underwear?
right.
Are you wearing
see
underwear?
How loose I am right now? It's crazy.
Underwear you're wearing or no?
Oh, yeah. No, I got some nice stuff on.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. G-string.
But no, he did a great job. Did he do a great job at Andy? I mean, unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I am about to do that. I would like to also mention that Lynn Margulies, Andy's girlfriend, and our videographer that did all the shooting in the film is here. And no, stay up, Lynn, stay up until the applause dies down and it gets uncomfortable. There you go. Soak it up. Soak it up. You deserve it. What did you have to put up with? Would you like to tell a story?
Come on up.
Do you have a story?
Do I have a story?
Yeah.
Yeah, come here. Here's the mic.
I'll come right there and I'll ask you a question. What was it like to have sex with Andy Kaufman?
I don't remember. Yeah. What else do you want to know?
Anything at all that they might not know about it.
Oh, God. What else? I need to be asked questions because you just caught me off guard and I don't have anything to say. What else could I say?
Can you tell us a favorite memory you had?
A favorite memory with Andy. Oh, my God, there's so many. But one of my really stupid ones, this was a really stupid thing, is I was living in San Francisco. We were living in San Francisco, and I had a roommate. We were just in this house with a roommate. And my roommate said, boy, Andy uses a lot of toilet paper, And so I told Andy this. And so for the next month, every night we brought home a new 4-pack of toilet paper. And he would put it on the toilet and keep piling them up and piling them up and piling them up till they were actually at the ceiling. And he was waiting for my roommate to say something, which he never did. And so the punchline was I had to go to my roommate and ask him to help me get one of the things of toilet paper down. And that's just what Andy was like. He did stuff like this for his own entertainment. Everything he did in his entire career was for his own entertainment. And that's the secret of Andy. Everything he did was for himself. So everything entertained him, and he didn't give a shit what anyone else thought. So there.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much.
I'd love to take some questions from the audience.
He was the only member of his own club.
Yeah, in the front.
Quit bragging. Rub that in our face.
There's a writer up front who is bragging.
This movie was so intense. Beautiful work.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations to Chris.
Touching and funny. But you did stuff like, Eternal Sunshine and the Truman Show. They were not the same. You went all in.
I felt it was itching. I just felt it was itching again. I just picked the vibe.
Appreciate it. In different ways, but this one was special because of Andy, because of his spirit, because the essence of Andy is something extraordinary is going to happen. You know it before he shows up. And I sat out in Malibu and I was like, how do I handle a character like this? And the fact was that I can't handle a character like this. A character like this has to handle it. So the decision was made to allow him to make the movie. And I was saying to Chris yesterday, I just kind of discovered this yesterday and doing all these interviews, and that was that he had courage that I don't have, the courage not to let people in on the joke, and so I think in subjugating myself, my own personality to him, I was no longer responsible for the outcome of whatever that might entail, and so it gave me a license to go that extra step, and it was funny because the first couple of weeks everybody was like, actor schmactor or whatever the fuck, he wants to be called like that, and then 2 weeks into it and Milos was tired and he was like, I have done enough. I have been through wars and I am tired, and I have eaten sausage. I would hide in my greasy sausage. And he just, he thought he couldn't handle it. And even me, I was somewhere in there going, will this be beyond exhausting? Will it be way too exhausting for everybody? And what happened was exhilaration, like freedom from ourselves, because even Milos had to play a character. He had to come to Andy and be a certain thing and learn Andy's politics and learn Tony's politics, and in doing so freed himself from his normal grind. And at the end of it, we were sitting in a trailer on the side of the road in New York outside Carnegie Hall, and he was in Andy's trailer and looking at Andy, and Andy's staring back at him. And this just big Cheshire cat smile on his face. And he said, I have never had an experience like this in my life. I would not change a thing about what has happened. I love it. I love it. He was just in love with what happened. And everybody was, because they really felt like this was the proper tribute to Andy, to let him have control,
Hey, I had a question. Bob and Lynn, was it weird having Jim, or having Andy back in that capacity? Did it, or were you able to separate it just because you were so close to Andy?
After 81 days, you were totally into the moment, and Paul Giamatti plays me in the film. And so it's the whole thing, and Lynn, Courtney Love played her. So we would be on the set, and Milos would say, Zmuda, and I'd go, yeah, and he'd go, no, the real Zmuda. You didn't know, you really did not know who was real, and this was having my buddy back again after all these years.
That
was very emotional.
Thing.
Yeah,
that was the
really
coolest thing. Yeah.
There were some hands waving in the back.
The Lazarus effect. The Lazarus effect.
The hands waving in the back were, yes. Yes.
Actually, my question is for Lynn. I was just wondering,
The question is for Lynn, and if you felt like
Thank
you
you,
saw
dear.
the real Andy or a
Oh,
different
no.
Andy.
You mean a different Andy from the real Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's like, I had to ask that question, but like, did you, if you're having a personal relationship, did you see an Andy that was...
Well, the sex was different.
Whoa, Jesus.
No, you know what happened is because it had been many years since Andy died, and we immediately all fell into the magic of the whole thing. And so he did become Andy. It was a new Andy, but it was Andy.
I mean, like, and also in life, like, did you, with your relationship with Andy, do you feel like you could see in the world how he was and how he existed in the world? Did you see a difference in him in your private questions, in your personal life? Like, did you see a different Andy in your life? Did you see, and I would
Oh, Andy in the past, the real Andy, not this imposter. Yeah, okay. Yes, I mean, in real life, Andy was a very quiet, soft-spoken person who did go into characters and things when we'd be out on the streets. You know, he'd go into characters and you'd have to play with him. But he was just a very quiet, intelligent, soft-spoken person. So I really don't know why they picked him to play him. You know,
Hey.
I love him.
Wow, that was hard. That was hard.
Did that answer? Okay. Okay. I hope so. It was different from the Andy you saw. Absolutely. He was different. Yeah. Yes, he was different.
There was another hand in the center, yes?
That was hard. I really went for the burn. I went for the burn on that one.
Do you still have a question? Did you change your mind?
Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me.
Yes, in the purple.
thank you for the movie. I felt emotions I didn't think I would, so thank you for that. And I'm also curious, Twitter, you know, all this social media, what would Andy have done with that? Has anybody thought of what...
The question is, what would Andy have done with all the social media that's everywhere today?
You guys go ahead, but I have actually thought of this.
Do it. No, she does.
You should just come on up here.
Oh, no, this is fine. Who asked that? I've actually thought a lot about that because Andy would go crazy with social media. You know, before he died, and his career was kind of going downhill. No one wanted to hire him anymore because of the wrestling and all the stuff he did. And he really, really, really wanted to have a cable TV show that was an all-night show where he played movies he wanted to show, and then the camera would come back, and in between he would just be sleeping. That's what his big plan was. And so that was cable TV, and he would go nuts. I'm convinced he would have had the first reality TV. He would have had cameras in his house. You know, he would have definitely had a podcast. You know, I listen to Mark Maron, and I think, oh my God, Andy would have had a podcast. He would have gone insane.
Tony would have been a troll, the ultimate.
Oh my God, Tony would have been a troll.
Guys, I'm really sorry to say that's all the time we have. We wish
What?
we could
Come
keep talking
on.
to you for hours.
Huh?
Final words of wisdom.
I'm not
Go
leaving. I'm
around.
not
Final
leaving.
words of wisdom.
Nope.
Final words of wisdom, folks. Andy Kaufman died for our sins. So I would just say, to honor his memory, commit them.
Chris, final words of wisdom.
This audience laughed the most at the Jackie Kennedy thing, which says a lot about the character of this audience.
Did they?
Yeah.
You
It's a dark
sick
crowd.
bastards. You
Love
sick.
it.
Well, it's good. There's been enough time, I guess.
Jim, any final words?
No. I'd like to say, first of all, that I'm not only here to promote this film and this idea, and I'm gratified and grateful to be with these wonderful people and their incredible creativity. but I'm here to answer two very important Canadian questions that every Canadian struggles with. Is there a place, a special place in heaven for Canadians? And will there be a Tim Horton donut there? And I'd like to bring you back with me because whenever I come up to Canada, I think about my memories, and I spent a lot of time as a teenager in the Ravine. You see, my brother was 3 years older than me, and maybe 2. I'm not sure. Anyway, he matured really early. His voice changed when he was about like 6. And he had hair on his chest and a beard, a full beard, by the time he was like 12. And so he used to buy the beer. And he would buy us a 2-4, and we would go down the ravine. And I would listen to things like this. To April Wine. And I would take my girlfriend, Tammy Lore, down there. Tammy was 12, but she was majorly overdeveloped for her age. I was underdeveloped, but an excellent student. She was a roller, yeah, a high roller, baby, yeah. Ooh, she's a roller, yeah, a high roller, baby. All right. That was my life. Thank you.
Guys, vote for the film. Drop your tickets in the boxes outside the cinema. Vote for the film.